Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. If you are a BS accountancy student currently grinding away, you are exactly where you need to be. Today, we're taking a famously tricky management advisory services concept, scrap-or-rework decisions, and we're going to literally hardwire it into your brain. We aren't just cramming for tomorrow's quiz, no way. We're building a solid 3-year retention payload. So when you finally sit down for the actual LECPA, this whole framework will just instantly snap right into focus for you.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to picture yourself in the testing center. You're staring at this massive paragraph packed with numbers about defective inventory. What is the number one thing that usually trips you up? Like, what's the biggest psychological trap those examiners use to push you toward the wrong multiple choice answer? Just hold that thought for a second, because we are going to expose that exact trap today and neutralize it for good.
So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the LECPA retention hack. Second, scrap versus rework defined. Third, the sunk cost trap. Fourth, the incremental decision model. Fifth, solving a CPA problem. And finally, brain hacks and review. You know, giving your brain this clear, structured agenda right off the bat actually reduces cognitive overload, which makes it way easier to retrieve this stuff during the board exam.
Let's get right to it. Section 1. The LECPA retention hack. Wiring your brain for a 3-year memory payload.
Section 2. Scrap versus rework defined. The binary choice of defective inventory.
Look, we are totally bypassing rote memorization today, because let's be real, memorization fades in about a week. Instead, we are building a mental model. You can't win the game if you don't know the rules, right? So whenever management spots damaged, defective, or obsolete units in their warehouse, they face a very strict binary choice, the classic scrap or rework decision. You basically have a pile of stuff that isn't quite right. Do you just dump it right now, sell it as is to a jobber or a scrap dealer? Or do you sink a little more time, effort, and cash into it, doing some rework, so you can actually sell it as proper finished goods? It's one or the other.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it visually maps that exact decision right in your head. On the left, we've got sell as is. That's the scrap option. Zero extra effort, but you get immediate, much lower cash. On the right, we have rework. That means modifying the items. Sure, you're going to incur some additional costs, but the payoff? You get to sell them at a higher price. Setting up this clear split is step 1 of our mental model.
Section 3. The sunk cost trap. The examiner's absolute favorite illusion.
Guys, this is the examiner's go-to trick. They intentionally design these MAS questions to play on human psychology, tricking you into factoring in costs that literally do not matter. Listen to this definition straight from our review materials and really let it sink in. Sunk costs refer to the non-recoverable costs incurred in the past. Bygones are bygones. Bygones are bygones. They are in the past. You can't change them, no matter what decision you make right now. And since you can't change them, you absolutely must ignore them when making any forward-looking decision. Just take a look at this massive number, 50,000 pesos. This actually represents the original inventory carrying cost of obsolete truck parts from a real MAS problem, the Good Young Company problem in your CPA review sources. When an examiner slaps a massive original cost right at the beginning of a word problem, your brain naturally wants to use it, right? It feels super important. It feels like this huge loss that you somehow need to recover.
But here is the ultimate brain hack. Literally, cross it out. When you see a historical manufacturing cost or an original carrying amount on a scrap or rework question, your physical reaction should be to grab your pen and just cross it out on your test paper. Those original costs are sunk and they are completely 100% irrelevant. Do not let that number pollute your math. It's just a ghost, ignore it.
Section 4. The incremental decision model. The unbreakable rules of relevant costing.
So the crucial point here is, how do we actually calculate the right answer once we've cleared away all that psychological noise? Well, here's your 3-step mental model. Step 1. Find your incremental revenue. That is just the difference between your shiny new reconditioned sales price and the low as-is scrap value. Basically, the extra cash you make just because you reworked it. Step 2. Find your direct rework costs. This is the fresh money you have to spend, usually direct materials, direct labor, and variable overhead applied to the rework. Step 3. Compare them. Rework is only a smart financial move if the incremental cash inflow from Step 1 is strictly greater than the cash outflow in Step 2. It's really that simple. Rework only if revenue is greater than costs.
Section 5. Solving a CPA problem. Let's flex this model on some real MAS questions. Let's build some confidence and put this into practice. Check out this data for the Middle East Corporation. They've got a batch of obsolete lanterns. Watch how our mental model instantly filters the data for us here. Original manufacturing cost of 20,000 pesos? Is that relevant? No way, it's sunk. Cross it out. Scrap value of 1,000 pesos? Yes, that's our baseline. Rework cost of 5,000 pesos? Yes, that's our incremental outflow. Reworked sale price of 9,000 pesos? Yep, that's our potential inflow.
And this brilliantly illustrates the math. If we just scrap it, we net a 1,000 peso inflow. If we rework it, we take that 9,000 peso sale price, subtract the 5,000 peso rework cost, and we net 4,000 pesos. Since 4 grand is a whole lot better than 1 grand, rework is the undeniable, mathematically proven winner here.
Let's level up to a slightly trickier one, the good young company problem. Same deal. Instantly ignore that 50,000 peso original cost. Goodbye. The scrap value is 10% of cost, which is 5,000 pesos. Now, calculating the rework cost takes a tiny bit of legwork here. We have materials at 10,000, labor at 2,000, and then overhead is applied at 50% of prime costs. Just remember, prime costs are simply materials plus labor, so that's 12,000. 50% of 12,000 gives us 6,000 for overhead. Add all that up, 10 plus 2 plus 6, and our total rework cost is 18,000 pesos. Our new sales price? 25,000 pesos. Let's map out those net cash flows. On the left, scrapping gets you 5,000 pesos. On the right, reworking gives us 25,000 in revenue minus 18,000 in rework costs, which nets us 7,000 pesos. 7 grand easily beats 5 grand. The decision? Modify the parts for sure. By strictly sticking to our mental model, you completely avoid the noise and land safely on the correct answer every single time. Section 6. Brain hacks and review. Let's lock this in for the LECPA.
Okay, we're in the home stretch, so grab a mental snapshot of this for your spaced repetition review. Here is a rapid-fire recap of the unbreakable rules. 1. Always identify the binary choice, scrap versus rework. 2. The absolute second you see original manufacturing or carrying costs, cross them out. They are completely sunk. 3. Calculate your incremental revenue. 4. Calculate your incremental rework costs and watch out for variable overhead based on prime costs. And 5, rework only if incremental revenue is greater than incremental costs. Seriously, these 5 bullet points are literally the only things you need to retain this topic for the next 3 years.
We started this explainer by asking what the biggest trap in these MAS problems really is. Well, now you know exactly what it is, and more importantly, exactly how to beat it. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you're sitting down for a practice test and the examiner tries to throw some massive, completely irrelevant historical cost right in your face, are you going to let that sunk cost illusion trick you? Or are you going to cross it out, smile, and just confidently move right on to the correct answer? Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer. Keep studying smart, trust your mental models, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.